Hello, good morning. It is Wednesday, October 28th. My name is Jason Stanton. I serve First Lutheran in Onalaska as senior pastor, and this is my morning musing. It's connected to the Bible Readers series that I'm leading. I know many of you are reading along in our survey of the whole Bible as we read it every weekday for a year to read the whole thing. And we've slogged through books like Leviticus and Deuteronomy and Joshua, but I'm actually enjoying Judges. The book of Judges is it's not just a bunch of lists or genealogies, and there's characters in Judges that I feel like I'm really resonating with. Gideon is the judge we're reading about, and Gideon is one of these people. I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but he is called to be a judge, to be I'm not saying we've all been called to be a judge before, but he's called to do this work that God has for him, and he feels under-equipped, underprepared, unworthy. And the question for him, and as a reader of the Bible, you see, what does he do? What do any of us do when we come up against those moments? You know, Moses has a similar experience. Jeremiah, the prophet, has a similar experience, called by God to do something, and then saying, but God, I don't know how, I don't know what to say, I think I'm gonna pretty much mess that up. And then God says, of course, well, I'm calling you to this work, so just trust that you'll be given the words, you'll know what to say, you'll know what to do. Where do you go in those moments when you feel under-equipped, underprepared, without any confidence? What do you do? For confidence, for guidance, how do you find a way forward? Because we can just trust our senses as we kind of feel our way through it. Some of us, we might sometimes say, fake it till you make it. I think that's kind of how Moses and the prophets oftentimes do it. You just kind of do what you can until you're like, oh, sure, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. We can either trust our senses and listen to our soul, or we can trust a Google map instead of looking right out the window. I actually heard this podcast a couple months ago. It's a tragic story. A woman who was following her Google map, and it actually led her into a deserted, dangerous, like no water, no food kind of place. And she actually died out in the desert because that's where her Google map brought her. Even though she could see she was going deeper and deeper into a place that wasn't really safe. She could see that, but her phone was telling her otherwise. And then her car broke down and it was awful. You know, do we trust what we see with our own eyes and our own experience, or do we just keep our head kind of buried in our phone or whatever, you know, other source of knowledge or information we're trusting more than ourselves? Do we fall back on what we've been taught? You know, the lessons given to us, passed on to us by grandparents, godparents, other wise people in our lives, friends. Wisdom can come from anywhere. Do we go back into what we know? You know, that's what Sabbath is for, remembering what we know and who we are. Do we, at those times of feeling under-equipped or underprepared, do we go back to those pieces, or do we simply kind of, in a panic, try to find some hidden knowledge or hidden truth in places we've never looked before? You know, looking for a new way when maybe we know the old way will work. It's just hard. It's just difficult. Gideon, that's kind of what Gideon does. Gideon flails. Gideon tests God a bit. Starts out doing what he's supposed to do, but that is hard. And so he tries to to find some shortcuts. Eventually, Gideon seeks security and seeks a way forward in ways that make him turn his back on God and actually start using idols. We may at times feel tempted to not do the harder thing, but instead find our own way or just make it up. But I think our lives steeped in prayer, steeped in listening to our trusted church community or trusted faith leaders in our lives, mentors, whoever they may be, although those ways can at times feel like, difficult, they are the real way, as the story of Gideon can remind us of.